This one first, and then second, and then it goes to better.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yes.
For the YouTube live.
Je vais faire en anglais parce qu'il y a beaucoup de... Enfin, il y a plusieurs qui ne comprennent pas vraiment. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9. We're starting a new chapter, chapter 19, called King Yayati Achieves Liberation. Text 1, we'll read the text 1 and 2. So on the board is text 1. Shri Shuka Uvacha Sa Itam Acharan Kaman Streno Panavamatmanaha Budva Priyaye Nirvinno Gatam Etam Agayata Shishuka Vacha Sa Itam Acharan Kaman Streno Panavanatmanaha Budva Priyaye Nirvinno Gatam Etam Agayata. Shishuka. Normalement, on laisse les Vivouini d'abord. Vivouini d'abord. Saitamacharam kaman Streno panavamatmanaha Budva priyaye nirvinno Shishuka Vacha Sa Itam Acharam Kaman Streno Panavamatmanaha Buddha priyaya nirvinno. Gatam etam agayata. Shishuka uvacha. Saitamacharan kaman. Streno panavamatmana. Buddha priyaya nirvinno. Gatametanayayata. Shishuka uvacha. Saitamacharan kaman. Streno panavamatmana. Buddha priyaya nirvinno. Gatam etam agayata. Devat? Shishuka uvacha. Saitam acharan kaman. Streno panavamatmana. Buddha priyaya nirvinno. Gatam etam agayata. Shishuka uvacha. Saitam acharan kaman. Streno panavamatmana. Buddha priyaya nirvinno. Gatam etam agayata. Shishuka uvacha. Shishukadev Goswami said, Saha Maharaj Yayati Itam in this way. Acharan behaving. Kaman in regard to lusty desires. Strenaha very much attached to woman. Apanhavan counteraction. Atmanaha of his own welfare. Buddha understanding with intelligence. Priyaye and to his beloved wife. Devayani. Nirvinna disgusted. Gatam story. Etam this as follows. Agayata narrated. Translation. Shukadev Goswami said, O Maharaj Parikshit, Yayati was very much attached to woman. In due course of time, however, when disgusted with sexual enjoyment and its bad effects, he renounced this way of life and narrated the following story to his beloved wife. So I will read the text 2 and purport. Shinu bhargavyamun gatam madvida charitam bhuvi dhira yasya nusho chanti vane grama nivasinaha. Translation. My dearly beloved wife, daughter of Shukracharya, in this world there was someone exactly like me. Please listen as I narrate the history of his life. By hearing about the life of such a householder, those who have retired from householder life always lament. Purport. Persons who live in the village or town are called Grama Nivasi, and those who live in the forest are called Vanavasi or Vanaprastha. The Vanaprasthas who have retired from family life generally lament about their past family life because it engaged them in trying to fulfill lusty desires. Prahlad Maharaj said that one should retire from family life as soon as possible, and he described family life as the darkest well, itvat mapatam griyam andakupam. If one continuously or permanently concentrates on living with his family, he should be understood to be killing himself. In the Vedic civilization, therefore, it is recommended that one retire from family life at the end of his 50th year and go to Vana, the forest. When he becomes expert or accustomed to forest life or retired life as a Vanaprastha, he should accept sannyas. Vanam gato yad dharima ashrayeta. Sannyas means accepting unalloyed engagement in the service of the Lord. Vedic civilization, therefore, recommends 4 different stages of life: brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. One should be very much ashamed of remaining a householder and not promoting oneself to the higher stages, namely vanaprastha and sannyas. Om Aganati Menandasya Gananjana Salakaya Shakshurin Mitam Ganatasme Shri Gurave Namaha. Jakalpataru Vishya Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So sometimes we feel on the spot when we're sitting on the Vyasasana what to speak of when we read this kind of verse. We are 57. We are in household life. So it's a very interesting subject to discuss, and I hope this morning we'll discuss together after I speak a few words. So this is the following of the previous chapter. We remember King Yayati exchanged his old age with his son Puru, then enjoyed. Then we came to the point that he became disgusted with this way of life. And now he's starting to preach to his wife by telling him a story. We will see, he will tell him the story of the goat, chèvre, not the ghost, goat. So we have to understand also that in Srimad Bhagavatam, everything is spoken in the context of Varnashram Dharma. For the people living at that time, it was unthinkable of not acting within the frame of Varnashram Dharma. Or you were an exception. You were like a tribal person living in the forest. But 90% or 99% were living according to the Varnashram system. So if we come to if we go directly to the philosophical reason of it, we learn in the Bhagavad Gita that the living entity is Prakriti. We are Prakriti. We are feminine by nature in the sense that we are meant to. Thank you. We are meant to serve the Purush, Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Enjoyer. Yeah, you can put cushions. You know, it's good to put cushions.
It's a new system. You're going to put mats and not cushions. C'est pas cushion, Mataji says.
Okay, so Prakriti, but in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also describes the living entity in the 13th chapter, text 22, as Purusha. Purusha Prakritistohi Bhunte Prakriti Jan Gunan Karanam Guna Sangosyat Sadasad Yoni Janmasu. In 3 verses, actually, in that chapter, Krishna describes the living entity as Purusha. But he does it in a sarcastic way. That's what I was told by my teacher, Shastra teacher, Guru teacher. Because actually it's Prakriti, but Krishna, says, okay, you want to be Purusha, so I will call you Purusha. Purusha Prakritistohi. The living entity is staying in the Prakriti, actually is situated in the Prakriti Purushastohi, Bhunte Prakriti Jenguna. Then he wants to enjoy this Prakriti, born of the 3 gunas. Prakriti is mostly actually constituted of the 3 gunas, Rajas, Tamas, Sattva, And the living entity tries to enjoy different aspects of that material nature. Thinking is the Purusha. And Karanam Guna Sango Syat Sad Asat Yoni Janmashu. And because of this tendency, the living entity takes birth in Sad Asat Yoni Janmashu, in lower species, higher species, and continues the cycle of birth and death. So that's why this varnashram is necessary, because dharmena ina pashubir samana. Without any dharma, without any religious principle, the living entity is non-different from a pashu, an animal. So that's why in Vedic life we have this vanaprastha. I mean, this vanaprastha and the whole system of varnashram dharma. And we see, when we see that Prabhupada came to the West, he was experimenting. He was experimenting. So first he came, he had his first few disciples. He saw boys and girls living together and married. So he said, better you get married. That was one of his first instructions for them. Better you get married. So he married them. Then after some time, devotees, the movement started to grow, the missionary spirit started to grow, devotees got fired up, they heard the glories of brahmachari life, sannyas life, so everybody was going for sannyas. Prabhupada would give sannyas like anything. You had the forest of dandas, in front of the Vyasasan. Then, after some time, Prabhupada saw that people were not ready really for jumping into the sannyas ashram so quickly. So he encouraged them to get married. And after so Prabhupada would perform weddings, marriages himself. And after some time, he saw that even those in a marriage would broke apart. So at one point he was even disgusted. He said, I don't marry them anymore. You do it, but no. So he went through different stages. It went through different stages like this. That's why also I remember Ravindra Prabhu in one seminar about Varnashram Dharma. He said, in the beginning of the movement, the devotees, they heard about when they thought that they were above Varnashram Dharma, where devotees were above Varnashram Dharma. And then after some time they realized they were below Varnashram Dharma. So they better have this safety net. So Prabhupada quotes a verse here in the purport. This verse is from Prahlad Maharaj. That's the first verse, actually, the first preaching of Prahlad Maharaj to his father, Hiranyakashipu, when Hiranyakashipu asked him, what did you learn best in the school? What do you think is the best teaching? Then he said, Sada Samud, what was the beginning? Tat sadumanye suravarya dehinam sada samudvigna via asadgraha itvatma patam griyamanda gupam gato vanam gato yadharima shrayeta. So he told his father, my dear father, those who are like you, who are in the dark well of family life, should retire and go to the forest and worship Hari, Vishnu. That was his instruction. So that's actually an instruction that Prabhupada gives here. So we're going to discuss whether it's only for the people out there, materialistic people, to retire when you get, Prabhupada said, on the threshold of old age, when you go above 50. When it's whether it's only for non-devotees or whether it's for devotees, that's an important question, and I will ask your opinion about that. Because we know that, as I was saying in the beginning, the living entity has this tendency. We came to this material world to enjoy the senses, the gunas through the senses, and we have this tendency to enjoy, to think we are the master, we are Krishna. And amongst all sense pleasures, it is said that amongst all attachments to opposite sex, form of woman, there is no more complete attachment than this. Because it's actually attachment to all the sense pleasures. The eyes, nose, tongue, everything is involved actually in that attachment. And so even within the frame of Varnashram Dharma, which is following religious principles actually, even in this frame, one has the tendency in that ashram to get entangled, even in the frame. So, and that's also the first teaching of Shukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. As you know, Shukadev Goswami is not speaking in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. He starts to speak only from the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's from the very first verse of the second canto, Shukadev Goswami starts to speak. So he's actually speaking to Maharaj Parikshit, who just left home, who retired from home because he knows he has only 7 days. And Maharaj Parikshit is asking that question, what is the highest duty? What is the highest duty for a person about to die? And he asks different questions. So Shukadev Goswami, first he congratulates Shukadev Maharaj Parikshit for his question. Varyanishate prashnan krita loka itanripa atmavit samata pumsa shotavyadisu yakpara. He says that, thank you very much for this very good question, Varyanishate prashnan, very good question, because which your question is actually intended for the welfare of everybody. And the answer to this question is the topmost subject matter for hearing for human society. Shotavedishu yak param. Then Shukadev Goswami starts to describe the opposite. Here you have Maharaj Parikshit sitting and asking this question about transcendental life, the goal of life. And Shukadev Goswami says, yes, it's very good, your question is very good. Because usually, and then he explains that usually, Shotavyanidhi Rajanda Ninam Santi Shashasha Pasyatam Atmatadvam Griyeshu Griyamedinam. That usually people are not interested in these kinds of subject matter. They are interested in hundreds and thousands, Shotavyanidhi Rajanda Nrinam Santi Sahasrasha. Thousands of subject matters except this one. Griyeshu Griyamedinam. And although they are in family life, they are called Griyeshu, Griyamedi. So I was saying that for them at that time, it was unthinkable to not be in Grihastha life, in married life, if you have interaction with the opposite sex. There was no thing as Grihachari or I don't know, Grihanyasi or whatever you can call it. There was nothing as going with boyfriends, girlfriends. Even in India nowadays, in villages, it's unthinkable. In villages, I'm sure it's completely different in big cities now, Bombay and others. But in villages, to think that you can have a relationship with a girl or with a boy without being married is unthinkable. So that's why Shukadev Goswami, when he starts to, and as I said, that's for a brahmachari, there is not much to get entangled with. For a sannyasi, there is not much to get entangled with. But for a grihastha, there is much to get entangled with. And that's why Shukadev Goswami's first teaching to Maharaj Parikshit is, yes, it's good, your question is good, you made a good step, you left home, now you're inquiring, because, and then he starts to describe the life of the Griyamedi. He says, Nidra riyate naktam vyavayena chavavayam diva charte ayarajan kutumba bharenenava. Then he describes, he's describing in a nutshell the life of a Griyamedi. Nidraya riyate naktam vyavayena chavavayaha. Saying they're spending their nights in sleep or in sense enjoyment. Diva chartyaya rajan kutumba varenenava. And they're spending their days going running after money. To maintain kutumba varenenava. To maintain family. What is their mentality? Deapatya kalatradishu atma sanyeshu asatsvapi tesham pramato nidanam pashyanapi na pashyati. Their mentality is that they take shelter of this family life. Deapatya, they take shelter of this material body, deha. Apatya kalatra, they take shelter of the wife, they take shelter of the kids. What? They think Atma Sanyeshu Asatsvapi. Atma Sanyeshu. Sanyeshu means soldiers. They think that these are soldiers, their own soldiers. That's their protection. Atma Sanyeshu Asatsvapi, even though they are Asat. Tesham Pramato Nidanam Pashyanapi na Pashyati. And although these soldiers, they are fallible, they're going to drop dead one day. They can drop dead any day. And still, they're putting their faith in them. Pashyan api na pashyati. Although they're seeing this, they are not seeing. So we have this description given by Shukadev Goswami, very strong description of the Griyamedis. We're actually part of the part of the Varnashram Dharma, but we are drifted from the spiritual life. We see in the verse by quoted by Palan Maharaj, Prabhupada quotes this verse, Itvat mapatam griyamanda kupam. Itvat mapatam, Prabhupada translates it, the family life. Itvat mapatam, the place where spiritual advancement comes to a stop. Le lieu, la situation dans laquelle l'avancement spirituel s'arrête. Ivat mapatam griyam ondakupam, blind well. So it's described as a blind well because although one tries to find water, it's a dry well. It's covered, Prabhupada said, covered by dry grass. And one thinks he's going to enjoy in that situation, but actually there is no water. And then another explanation I heard about this dry well, Andakupam, is sometimes you have these wells in India which are covered, they are dry, so people don't go anymore, so they get covered with grass. And then it's very dangerous. I know one devotee in Mayapur, his name is Gitanagari Prabhu, and he's very big. And one day during Vrajamandal Parikram, he fell in such a well. He could have killed himself, broke his legs. So on the Kupam, he didn't see. It was covered with grass and he fell. Fortunately, he was surrounded by devotees. But if you fall in such a well, then you may scream because it's like, a cannon going, the sound will go up and not spread on the side. You can scream and maybe nobody will hear you. You will dry up. You will die in this dried up well, And you won't be able to come out. It's like you don't know in what situation you engage yourself when you get married. You think it's for a few years. You think you're going to get kids and it's going to be for 16 years and then they will be, on their own, living by their own. Nowadays, kids, they leave home when they are 25, 30, It's true. It's true. Many of them now, they stay home, computer, and you have to feed them. You have to take care of the bills. So, and then, in the concept of Vedic life, you have the extended family, you have grandchildren, you have brothers-in-laws, sisters-in-laws, cousins. So it's like, it's never ending actually, because you have to marry your daughters, you have to educate your kids, and then you have to see that the kids, daughters and sons, they go sometime, they give you the granddaughters, grandchildren to, during the vacation you have to take care of them. It's like never ending, So in any case, whether it's outside the Varnashram or inside the Varnashram, family life is something which can distract you from family life, from spiritual life. It can definitely distract you. So that's why, the process is there, that, and Prabhupada said it has to be an ashram. It has to be also a place for spiritual advancement. And but if you go astray, then it becomes a place, it becomes like a Ondakupam. Now the question may be whether it is necessary for devotees to adopt Vanaprastha. So I made a little research about this, because Prabhupada quite often speaks about leaving home when you're 50, but you find different things actually. And actually, if you read the description of a Vanaprastha given by Narad to Yudhishthir in the 7th canto, I can read 1 or 2 verses if you like. A person in Vanaprastha life should not eat grains grown by tilling of the fields. He should also not eat grains that have grown without tilling of the field, but are not fully ripe. Nor should a Vanaprastha eat grains cooked in fire. I don't know, he must be soaking them or something. Indeed, he should eat only fruit ripened by the sunshine. Good luck if you're living in Sweden. A Vanaprastha should prepare cakes to be offered in sacrifice from fruits and grains grown naturally in the forest. When he obtains some new grains, he should give up his old stock of grains. Vanaprastha should prepare a thatched cottage or take shelter of a cave in a mountain, only to keep the sacred fire, but he should personally practice enduring snowfall, we had it just now, fire, rain, and the shining of the sun. The Vanaprastha should wear matted locks of hair on his head and let his body hair, nails, and mustache grow. He should not cleanse his body of dirt. He should keep a water pot, deer skin, and rod, wear the bark of a tree as a covering. I always wondered how it's possible, but I think you have very thin bark of trees, you can fold them, and use garments colored like fire. So this is actually the Vedic system. So it's very austere. I mean, if one nowadays would try to live like this, it would be a joke, Sorry. Living, growing his hair, bodily hair, nails, mustache, not cleanse his body. Cleanse his body only with dirt. So all these things. Thank you, Prabhu. And but still, you see in the Bhagavatam, actually in the 9th canto, you see most of the pastimes, even this, persons who seems attached at one point, like this King Sudyumna, Pururava, all these kings we read about. By the end of the chapter, usually it's mentioned they left home and they went to live in the forest. Of course, I'm not sure, but I know that sannyas life is only brahmanas, I think, could adopt it. I'm not sure about kshatriyas. Somebody knows? Only brahmanas. Kshatriyas, vanaprastha. Vaishyas, I'm not sure. Maybe vanaprastha. Yeah, sometimes. And shudras, only grihastha life. Only grihastha life. One ashram. Kalo Shudra Sambhava. In Kali Yuga, everybody is born a Shudra. So whether we can take Vanaprastha, of course, so Prabhupada, he reinstituted this, a kind of Vedic society, so that, and by purification, we can adopt, we say, a semblance of Varnashram, up to the stage of sannyas for those who are very, ready for this. But it's not everybody who is ready for this. Prabhupada himself, he took Vanaprastha. He left when he was 50. He left family home. His griha. We know the story. How one day it was too much. He left and he tried to preach. He went to Vrindavan. He stayed there for 8 to 9 years writing. Then he took sannyas. We have other examples, of course, in our Guru Parampara. We have Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Only by the very few last few years, he retired. He got absorbed in bhajan, samadhi. Actually, Varnashram Dharma is not part of the 64 angas of devotional service. It's not part of it. It's not a devotional principle, but it's a supporting principle. As anything, can be engaged in Krishna's service, Varnashram Dharma can also be engaged in the service of Krishna. That's actually an explanation of the verse, that verse, Smartavyam Satatam Vishnu, Vishmartavyam Najatuchit, Sarve Veda Nishedasyu, Etayor Eta Kinkaraha. That there are two rules, actually, main rules in the scriptures. Somebody could say, what are the main two rules of the scriptures?
To always remember Krishna and everything.
Thank you, very nice. Sarve Veda Nishedasyu, Etayor Eva Kinkaraha. You know what means kinkara? Servant.
Kinkara, what can I do for you?
Yeah, kim means what? Kara means do. So servant is a kinkara. It means he's standing in front of the master saying, what can I do? So actually it is said that sarve veda nishedasyu, all the nishedas, all the prohibitions and the injunctions of the scriptures, they are only servants of only two rules. These two rules is always remember Krishna, never forget him. The acharyas, they explain that Smartavyam Satatam Vishnu, always remember Krishna means practicing the direct processes of devotional service, like Shavanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. And Vismartavya Najatuchit, never forgets, refers to Varnashram Dharma. Never forget. It's like the safety net. Safety net. So, as everything can be engaged in devotional service, Vanaprastha also can be engaged in devotional service. So, of course, we read few descriptions of what it means in Vedic time. So, we are not going to adopt these principles. But Vanaprastha, we can still use some very useful principles for devotees. If you can think of some, I thought that first of all, for devotees, live a more simple life without too much material necessities. One rule, which is like the main rule of Vanaprastha, is like you live with your wife, but there is no intimate contact anymore. So that's the main rule, actually. So this can be also applied. Another principle is they go to live, as we saw that what Prahlad Maharaj said, Vanam gato yad darim ashrayeta, you go live in the forest. Prabhupada in the purport says that he constructed the temple of Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan for the retired people. They can come and live there. Also he constructed Mayapur. Also he opened New Mayapur and all other centers. So Grihastas Vanaprasthas, Grihastas when they want to, retire from social life, active life in the material world. When they have less responsibilities, they come and live in these places. Less distraction. There is no need anymore of a big house. Usually you see people, when the kids they go, they sell the home, they sell the house. They keep it for some time because sometimes the kid come back. They have a room, they still have the room for the son or daughter, But after some time, the kid doesn't come back, or he comes once a year. So what is the use, of a 300 square house? So they sell the house. My daddy did like this, and I met few people, they did like this. It's like they're selling the home and they're buying a smaller one, So even in a material society, you have something which is more or less like retired life, naturally, because when the kids they go, you have less responsibilities. But the only thing is they don't know how to use their time, and they go to play pétanque. I don't know, pétanque. And or they go to play bridge, comment on appelle ça, les cartes, bridge, golf. Prabhupada, one time he was driving in a car and he saw a man, playing golf. He had never seen this before. And he asked the devotee driving, what is he doing? He was an old man, and the devotee said, that's a game called golf. He's trying to put a small ball in a hole in the field, And tears started to glide down on Prabhupada's cheeks, He said, he's wasting his time, like this, trying to put a small ball in a hole, It's like, so they don't know what to do. They are waiting for that time, because it's tough to go work every day, from 5 to 12, 2 to 5, And now you may know that's a subject in the news, The government is pushing, is pushing the people like a lemon, they're pressing them. Now they could retire at 60 before. Now they're pushing it to 64. And they say, when will it come to 70, 64? But people are waiting, and they're making a big I would say manifestation, big protest, demonstrations in the street tomorrow, I think. Because they don't want 2-3 years extra work, going to the office. They want to be able to go fishing or doing tricot, So devotees, instead of going, buying, you see the retired people, they buy a big camper. You see most of the big campers on the road, you see they are retired people, because it's very expensive, first of all. It's as expensive as a home sometimes. And then they go and they don't know what to do, so they go traveling, sightseeing, So instead of going sightseeing, you go to the pilgrimage sites, you go to the temple. Instead of playing pétanque, you go and have kirtan. Instead of watching TV, you get with your wife and you read the scriptures more, you do these things. Now, Prabhupada, from many places, you can see that I'm not sure that whether, it's compulsory for devotees. Because Prabhupada often quotes here, I will not read because it's short of time, but I've got a discussion, evening lecture in Bhuvaneshwar, and a guest asked a question about Grihastha ashram, and Prabhupada, he quotes Narottam Das Thakur, who says, Grihe vavanete take, agoranga balidake narotama mage tarasanga. It doesn't matter whether he is a Grihastha or is a sannyasi. Vanete means vanaprastha, sannyasi. Wherever he may be, if he is actually a perfect devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I want his association. Never mind. Grihe va vanete take, agoranga balidake narotama mage tarasange. So Krishna Bhajan is so magnanimous, Prabhupada says, so exalted. In any position, you can become the greatest guru. That's in 1977. It's not 1966, 1977. Provided you follow the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya. He says, how one can become perfect? Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So you remain Grihastha. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, Namashra kori takara apane kaje. In whatever occupation you are, remain there. There is no need of changing, but Namashra kori. If you remain a Grihastha, what is your loss if you chant Hare Krishna mantra? And there is gain. Why don't you take it? Simple thing. And Krishna also says, man mana bhava mad bhakto. And Prabhupada says, that's the same instruction. Krishna gave man mana bhava mad bhakto. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, kirtanya sadhari. Same thing in Kali Yuga. So you remain Grihastha. It is now difficult to give up Grihastha life. But don't be merged into this black hole. So I don't know why he refers to in the discussion before. Don't make black hole tragedy. Be alive. Take to Krishna consciousness and you'll be happy. Though there is no distinction in Krishna bhajan, whether one is a Grihastha or a sannyasi, he must take the science, then he will be all right. And Prabhupada also often quotes the verse by Ramananda Roy when he was discussing with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was asking about the ultimate goal of life, and he quoted that verse about Varnashram Dharma, which is, by Varnashram Dharma, one samsidira ritoshanam, one can satisfy the Lord. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected it. Then he quoted that verse, Tanestita Shutigatan Tanovan Manobir, that you remain wherever you are, but you lend your ear to Shutigatam Tanovan Manobir, you lend your ear to Krishna Katha. And then, Prabhupada discusses about that there is no need to change. The only thing is to lend your ear to Krishna Katha. But Prabhupada says that you have to be in a parampara and you have to learn the art of submissive hearing. Submissive hearing. And basically, what is obstructing this submissive hearing is this Purusha Abhiman, this tendency to think we are Krishna, we are the enjoyer. That's the difficulty, we want to control. Even if we're going to give a class, we take note, we think, I'm going to control, I'm going to... what do we control? Krishna is the... Ekala Ishvara Krishna Arasabhabritya. Krishna is the only controller. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Arasabhabritya. All of us are servants. So we are servants, and mainly we have to be, we have to be told what to do, practically speaking. Either we are being told by material nature, or either we are being told by Krishna. We are being told what to do. We are not deciding, actually. We are, so if we are centering our life around this ahankara of the body, which is very much consolidated by this family life, we'll be, servants of all these instructions from Maya, which will entangle us more and more. So the art of submissive hearing is giving up this Purusha mood and entering into this servant mood, Prakriti, and letting Krishna tell us what to do. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna that if you close your ear, you will be lost. If you listen to your ahankara, again, and I'm a man, I'm a woman. Prabhupada said that the woman also, though she is woman, she thinks she is Purusha. So we will be lost also. But Krishna says that if you lend me your ear, if you hear me, all obstacles of life, you will, overcome. You will overcome. So you could say that married life is quite a big mountain to go over. It's quite a big mountain to go over. But we may have to go through it. Most of the devotees will have to go through it. But the thing is if you are a neglectful brahmachari, if you are not a serious brahmachari, there is quite a big chance that you will be not such a good grihastha. You will be neglectful also. And if you are a neglectful grihastha, it's a good chance that you'll not be a good vanaprastha and definitely not a good sannyasi, So what we could say as a conclusion that wherever we are, stanestita shuti gatan tanovan manovi, in whatever situation we are, whether brahmachari, grihastha, sannyasi, or vanaprastha or sannyasi, the best thing to do is concentrate in our ashram, not think that because it's difficult, the next one will be better. Not be in a hurry, but concentrate on Shutigatan Tanovan Manobir. Concentrate on your duties according to your ashram, and the transition will be natural. If you do like this, transition will be natural. will come naturally. You know, if you're a good brahmachari, and it's of course, if you are very good brahmachari, then you remain brahmachari. But you can be a very good brahmachari, but it's not, you know, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when the devotees would, sometimes the brahmacharis, they would show their palms to him, you know, because he was an astrologer. And sometimes, whether they could get married or take sannyas, he stopped it, but for some time he would do this, you know, he would look at their palm and he would say, no, for you there is no chance to be a sannyasi, you know, for you need to be. So it's kind of written in your hands, you know, it's like, so it's only very few who can, but actually there's not much difference, and that's more or less what I understood from Prabhupada's books, you know. The choice is there. You can go for, you know, austere vanaprastha, you know, and then you can go for sannyas. But you also have the option to remain in the grihastha life. As many, I think many associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we don't hear that they took vanaprastha, they retired as the sannyasis. Srinivasacharya, he had 2 wives. You know, he married twice, and of course on the order of his gurus. And Srivas Thakur, he was quite old also. I never heard that they retired at Vetachara even, you know. Most of but they were, you know, Srivas Thakur, his home was like where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come to have these kirtans, you know, so it's... Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he said, you know, my home, you know, becomes Goloka Vrindavan when I do kirtan and I hear, you know, the sound of the mridanga. And so that would be my conclusion, is that wherever you are, you know, we should try to concentrate and not be neglectful of our duties, because each ashram has its duties, you know. And Prabhupada said, you know, he discouraged devotees to get out of the grihastha ashram because it's tough. And they think they are ready for vanaprastha, and then they remarry again, you know. They remarry when they are 60 or something, and they get kids, you know, and they start again, and, you know, then it's very difficult to be a good grihastha, you know. It's like the gap with your kid, and, you know, it's like, oof, and what to speak of having time to get vanaprastha, it's finished, or, you know, sannyas. Anyway, wherever we are, you know, it's like stane stita shutigatam nama. And of course, we submissive hearing in the disciplic succession. So lending our ear to the guru, you know, be connected with the guru. This is the main link. Kanama Karamach tells a joke, you know, he says one time, it's not a joke, it's a fact, but it's kind of funny, you know. One time he went to some grihastha house, you know, his disciples for a program, you know, and anyway, it's funny that, and then, you know, he was accompanied by this bit of a fanatic devotee, you know, and they went and they saw the bedroom, you know, double bed, you know, and that devotee, you know, brahmachari or whatever he says, you know, he told the grihastha devotee, you know, he said, this is quite a big playground, you know, and the devotee said, no, actually, you know, me and my wife, when we sleep together, you know, we are actually putting our Guru Maharaj, Kanamba Maharaj, in the middle, in the center of us. Maharaj said, I never thought about this. But, you know, he was making a point, you know, like this, that, and we can learn also by the stick, you know, we suffer, you know, and then, you know, we understand also, but it's more painful, so better to, you know, stick to good practice and not suffer too much, if we don't want to suffer too much. You know, and then it will be smooth transition. And there's no need, actually, even, it will be natural. Anyway, I took, as usual, many notes, and I read few. Anybody can add something about this? Prabhuji?
Yeah, we see that in our society there is casino, no vanaprastha. And we are wondering if there was such vanaprastha existing in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life, like we mentioned. Chaitanya Charitamrita doesn't speak so much of vanaprastha. So is it a flow, or is it something that implies that we are in Devi or in ashram, then these things doesn't count so much, and be, if you are a Grihastha, you can stay Grihastha the whole of your life, because you have no relationship made with your wife after you got your children.
Yeah. That's why I understand, and also we can understand maybe that why Vanaprastha is a bit a mystery in our movement, because during Prabhupada time, devotees were 25, 30s. When Prabhupada left this world, there were no Vanaprastha, no people ready, at the age of Vanaprastha. There was no time to develop this ashram also. Maybe, it would be nowadays, Prabhupada would give advice. He took, what I understand also that mostly devotees who go for sannyas, and they are preachers. Preachers. They are. And I heard this, that, that verse, Yasyamanu Grinami Arisheta Dhanam Sane, that Krishna, he takes everything from you, especially if you are destined to be a preacher. If you are destined to be a preacher, you can expect that, if you are still attached, Krishna will take away everything from you. If you are, but maybe not if you are not destined to be a preacher. You have to still, we have to endeavor, because it's an artificial. Anyway, we have these stories in the Bhagavatam. Then the woman also supposed to be quite austere. I read Vanaprastha. She should be dressed with, very simple dress, and have dreadlocks also. Wear dreadlocks. No more combing the hair, which is a big thing for a woman. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well.
No, but in answer to that, there's some preacher, couple preachers, women preachers also. Sometimes as a couple they can preach together independently. It's not just like you stop doing it and you start doing service. Some devotees, they keep doing their service still,
Yeah.
So that's the other thing,
It's very difficult for many devotees to have this thought of living alone, without any company. Temple life, is, you can be in the middle of, I don't know, devotees who came back to the temple after when they are grown, they are more aged, Living alone in the temple may not be always easy, It's like you're surrounded by devotees, and many times by much younger devotees than you. Most of the devotees in the temple, living in the temple, they are quite young, So you feel you are like, okay, I'm alone in my small room, You want to speak to somebody, but the new devotee doesn't understand at all your situation, Doesn't understand at all. At least, an elderly Mataji, she understands more, what you're going through, because she's your age, Anyway, it's a big subject. Prabhuji.
I was wondering if you could speak a little. We always hear so much about the Grihastha ashram being suffering, basically.
Okay.
Fifth canto Bhagavatam, the forest, etc.
I guess this is for more Griya Medis, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we also hear that people are so attached to that ashram. So it can seem a little strange that people are suffering so much and then they're attached to that.
It's a good question.
So I'm wondering if you can explain a little bit about how us as devotees might avoid that attachment in the ashram. What is it that's actually attaching us in that ashram?
I'm not sure I'm the right person for this. No. It's a good question. We hear that this family life, we go through quite some suffering, tests, and still we are very attached to it. How it comes, how come we still attached to it, even for devotees, you say? We don't have previous training, that's the main thing. Maybe if we have, as I said, if you are serious brahmachari, it will be easier for you to retire. So those who have been for many years serious brahmacharis, I guess they have more facilities to retire from that. Or maybe they are not practicing Grihastha ashram properly also. That's also a cause of suffering, not practicing Grihastha. Either, sometimes both of them are not practicing Grihastha ashram properly, and sometimes one is practicing properly and the other one is not practicing properly, So it's like very lucky. They said you are very lucky if you get married to a Vaishnava wife. It's a very lucky situation actually. It's like a fortress, and you can fight the lust, the enemy of lust from that fortress, and then you can easily go. I read this yesterday. You can easily go to the next ashram. But it depends on you also, and not only on your wife. Just don't put everything on the wife. It's like, wife, husband, same responsibility. That's what I would understand. We don't have. We are afraid of what's going to be next. If we have no previous experience of, happy celibate life, preaching, and we have no experience of it. So I think it will be easier in the future for devotees who have been raised as good brahmacharis to, they will teach us, they will teach us by example, how you go through this. No, we didn't come to Grihastha. It's like, we are supposed to retire by 50, okay? But many devotees, they get married when they are 35, because they join 20, 25, and then they start their brahmachari life, Whoever 25 is supposed to end the brahmachari life, it's like, but they start in 23, 22, 25, sometime later. So, you have time to have kids, raise the kids. By the time they are 20, you are 55 already, and, it's maybe not over because you have 2 or 3 kids, so the last one is still 14 or something, no? And then, it's like, you're supposed to stay 25 years brahmachari, 25 years grihastha, 25 years vanaprastha, 25 years sannyasi. But if you marry, you get kids when you are 35, that's the beginning of your ashram, grihastha ashram. So, it's like postponing. But anyways, what my understanding is like, either you take it or not take it officially, it's all question of consciousness. And of Prabhupada said, one time one devotee was Prabhupada told him whether he wanted to get married, and the devotee said, no, Prabhupada, I'm satisfied, I'm okay. And then he left, and Prabhupada commented to the other devotees, very nice, he's satisfied chanting Hare Krishna. So whether we get a taste from our spiritual practices, that's the main thing, to... Last thing, because it's late.
It's not a question. It's also linked to the fact that can temples maintain grihastha, all your devotees getting sick, Where are you going to put them? How are you going to provide for them? It's easy to say, leave your home, but who's going to take care of you?
Go in the field, pick up the grains, the fruits in the forest, You see the forest here? You have many fruits in the forest here? To live from? Mangoes, jackfruits. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaura Premanande Haribol.
Grace of the Gopal ki jai.
On voit aussi dans notre société qu'il y en a qui deviennent sannyachari. Entre grihastha et sannyasi, comme les Babaji.
I'm scared to do that if it
Donc d'un autre côté, on voit des grihasthas et tout, mais
Yeah, just to stop the video.
ils ont l'occasion de pas se marier, mais ils seront mariés. Ou ils prennent l'association d'autres Mataji, d'une autre, Guru, etc. Et en fait, alors qu'ils ont été